What's up, Sports Beat fans? I'm your host, Crystal Bermudez, joined here with Jessica Ross and Kevin Bunk. Major League Baseball is officially over for the year, but it was an entertaining season with lots to talk about. So let's get started. To kick us off, which teams have you guys closely followed and hoped would win this season?
I would say teams that I was following the most would definitely be the New York Yankees, also along with the New York Mets, kind of the AL East, along with the Los Angeles Dodgers, as I did expect them to make it to the World Series this year.
Yeah, additionally for me, I've always followed the Yankees as a Yankee fan. Boston Red Sox, Tampa Bay Rays, teams I followed. I was hoping for a Yankees-Dodgers World Series. Didn't get it. Both teams come up short, but overall, good seasons for both of them, and those were the teams that I had expected.
And we mentioned a little bit about the Yankees. So this season, many baseball fanatics anticipated for the New York Yankees to be a highly contested team. While they came out short in the postseason, what were some players that carried this team all the way to the end?
I would say Aaron Judge is definitely one of the top players, probably one of the most consistent. In the previous years, injury is a thing that very much holds the Yankees back. And with Aaron Judge staying healthy, I think it was a great thing as we saw him be consistent. He came up in very big plays. I also say Gio Urshela, his defense this season was amazing. I think it definitely did help us in a lot of games that we needed it.
Yeah, and additionally for those, you have Garrett Cole, who's the ace of the staff, had a pretty good season, a couple rough starts towards the end. Giancarlo Stanton, who additionally with your Judge point, they were healthy, both of them for the whole year, both produced over 30 home runs, close to 100 RBIs. And also Anthony Rizzo at the trade deadline. Initially after the deadline, he got really hot at the plate, was a great fielder, and provided a boost at first base for them for the end of the season.
And it seemed like many people thought that the Yankees and the Dodgers would make it face-to-face for the World Series. And the Dodgers had a striking record of 106-56, defeating teams like the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Francisco Giants, but losing that winning streak in the World Series against the Atlanta Braves. Did this come to a surprise at all?
I would say it was definitely a surprise, especially watching them throughout the regular season. They did seem as though they were going to have the strength and power to make it to the World Series and to go back-to-back. But I think towards the end, pitching was definitely something that was holding them back, very much so. And their offense and some of their star players like Cody Bellinger and Mookie Betts were putting up great numbers, but it wasn't enough to get them to where they needed to be, especially to beat teams like the Atlanta Braves that were really showing up.
Yeah, pitching definitely concerning for the Dodgers down the stretch, but it is definitely a surprise to me. Losing Trevor Bauer halfway through the year, pretty early in the season, was a big loss for them, and then Clayton Kershaw just before the playoffs. Also, the loss of Max Muncy put a really big dampener on their lineup for the postseason, but definitely a surprise.
Considering the powerhouse groups such as the Tampa Bay Rays, Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, and some other teams that were also really high up in the powerhouse group, what are some other teams that are also bringing a challenge to these other highly contested teams?
I would say going into this season, I was not expecting the San Francisco Giants to do as well as they did. They were definitely a shock to me, and I believe that throughout the season, they put up fantastic numbers and were really putting the pressure on teams like the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres. And I think that they honestly had a chance to go far, and obviously not making it towards, but I think they were definitely a team to look out for.
Yeah, and I go to the American League for my selection here would be the Houston Astros, who have not gone away. A tough 60-game season last year, but that's not telling of who a team is. And they were really a really tough out in the regular season, obviously a very tough out in the postseason, making it to the World Series, winning the American League. So the Astros are the most clutch team in baseball, and they were a really tough out this year.
Now, to conclude on this, which players were able to showcase more of their abilities and really capitalize on their talents for this season?
I would say going on like star players this year, Bryce Harper definitely did prove that he was worthy of his contract. He was putting up great numbers, and I think he definitely shut up the haters in a sense. He is definitely one of the more hated players in Major League Baseball, but I think the numbers that he put up were fantastic, and he really showed that he can bring what he had to bring to the Phillies.
And a couple additional names for that. Bryce Harper was fantastic this season, but Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Juan Soto, and Fernando Tatis Jr., and also someone who came alive in the postseason was Logan Webb for the Giants. All guys that showed up that we had known about prior to this season, but really solidified themselves as stars in the league this season.
And unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this segment. I want to thank my panelists Jessica Ross and Kevin Bunk for joining me. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at HofstraSB and subscribe to our YouTube channel to see our latest episodes. I'm Crystal Bermudez, and have a great night.